the only WNBA athlete that landed on the list. So that means Angel Reese was down somewhere below 10 million bucks. All right. In fact, they do tell us who is number 2 among sports related, like actual team oriented female athletes. Number 2 is Sabrina Ionescu. But as you can imagine, Caitlin.
Let's start here. I want you to think about this for a second. Out of the top 15 highest paid female athletes on the entire planet for 2025, only a single WNBA player managed to make the cut. Just one. And you know, if you've been paying even the slightest bit of attention to the narratives being relentlessly pushed by certain corners of the sports media, the name that actually made that list might genuinely shock you, because I can absolutely guarantee it's not the person they've been spending months day in and day out telling you is the one who matters the most.
Together, money is pouring into women's sports, with athletes in basketball, hockey, soccer, softball, and volleyball reaping the rewards. But the top tier of the world's highest paid female athletes is dominated by tennis, and it has been for decades. It has been for decades. The 15 top female athletes in 2025 include 10 tennis players, up from 9 last year, a pair of golfers. Damn, female golfing.
So, let's really talk numbers. $16 million. That is the absolutely staggering amount that Caitlin Clark earned in 2025, a figure that landed her squarely at the number 6 spot among all female athletes globally. And here is the part that should really make your jaw hit the floor. Only a tiny, almost insignificant fraction of that, just $119,000, came from her actual WNBA salary and bonuses. The rest of it, and we are talking about the overwhelming majority, is pure unadulterated endorsement money. Her league salary barely covers a decent car payment for a year, while at the very same time, corporate America is writing her checks that absolutely dwarf anything the WNBA itself could possibly offer. Now, it's absolutely true that tennis still dominates this list, locking down a full 10 of the top 15 spots, which makes a lot of sense when you consider the decades of prize money infrastructure and the massive global appeal they've meticulously built. But when you narrow it down specifically to team sport athletes, Caitlin Clark stands completely utterly alone at the very top of that mountain.
Count here, the top 15 earned is an estimated $249 million this year from prize money, salaries, bonuses, and endorsements. It's up 12%. All 15 earned at least $10 million versus 11 last year and 6 in 2023. The 10.1 million cutoff to crack the list is up from 6.7 million last year.
Now, Sabrina Ionescu came in as the second highest earner among all WNBA players, but she fell just short of that critical $10 million threshold required to even crack the top 15. And let's be crystal clear about that cutoff. It absolutely skyrocketed from $6.7 million in 2024 to $10.1 million this year. That is a nearly $4 million increase in the minimum amount you need to earn just to get your name on this prestigious list. And what does that mean in practical terms? It means Angel Reese didn't make it. It means A'ja Wilson didn't make it. Let that sink in for a moment. The league's reigning MVP, the player with her very own signature shoe deal with Nike, the absolute dominant force in the paint who just led her team to a championship, even she couldn't reach $10 million in combined salary and endorsements. You really have to ask yourself what that reveals about the cold, hard reality of market value versus the perceived importance that certain media outlets have been trying so incredibly hard to push on all of us.
Case for the skier, Aline Gu, and most of these is from endorsements. Some of the tennis, Coco had 8 million, Sabalenka 15 million, Simone Biles 11 million, almost all from endorsements.
The financial gap between Clark and the very next WNBA player isn't just big, it is absolutely massive. We are talking about a difference of at least $6 million, and possibly even more depending on where Sabrina Ionescu actually landed on the full, unreleased list. That isn't just a slight edge in marketability, folks. That is a canyon-sized difference in how major corporations view their respective abilities to actually move products and connect with consumers on a massive national scale. And here's the most incredible part of this whole story. This all happened in year one. This was Clark's rookie season, playing for a team that hadn't even sniffed the playoffs in years, in a market that is decidedly not New York or Los Angeles. We're talking about Indianapolis, a solid mid-sized Midwest city that suddenly, almost overnight, became the absolute epicenter of the sports world must-see TV. And it was all because of the arrival of one singular game-changing player.
Golf's most lucrative endorsement deal is New Balance. Man, New Balance got all kinds of athletes on their commercials now. I'm like, wow, it ain't your dad's walking shoe no more, I don't guess. Baker Tilly, Bose, Head, Rolex, Mercedes-Benz, Chase Bank for golf. So let me just come down here. Clark missed 70% of the Indiana Fever's games during the WNBA season as she struggled with injuries, but it was another.
So let's really break down who is writing these massive, multi-million-dollar checks. Nike was first, officially announcing Clark as a signature athlete back in August, with a complete collection slated to drop. This move puts her in an incredibly elite club alongside A'ja Wilson and Sabrina Ionescu as the only active WNBA players with their own signature sneakers. But you have to understand, the Nike deal is just the foundation of this ever-growing financial empire. Gatorade features her in major national campaigns. State Farm has literally built entire commercial series around her personality. Wilson Sporting Goods created special edition Caitlin Clark basketballs that sold out almost instantaneously every single time they were released. Panini America signed her for trading cards. And then you have Gamebridge, Xfinity, the grocery chain Hy-Vee, and most recently, the viral brand Stanley joining the roster. This is not a typical endorsement portfolio for an athlete. This is the kind of A-list brand partnership lineup you expect to see with truly transcendent figures who cross over from sports into the very heart of mainstream American culture. These aren't niche basketball brands trying to reach a handful of dedicated WNBA fans. These are massive, multi-billion-dollar corporations betting that Caitlin Clark can sell their products to millions of people who have never watched a single women's basketball game in their entire lives.
Ionescu falling just short. So if you are to believe what this says, that means Ionescu was somewhere maybe just under the $10 million mark for a WNBA player, which is interesting. That means Angel Reese did not make the cut in the top two at all. So that's interesting.
The timing of all this is absolutely crucial to understanding the sheer scale of what's actually happening here. This earnings list captures her income for the 2025 calendar year, which means it reflects the very first full year of Clark's professional contracts. Remember, her legendary college career at Iowa only ended with that heartbreaking NCAA championship loss to South Carolina back in April. She was drafted by the Indiana Fever almost immediately after that game. And in the span of just 12 short months, she skyrocketed from an estimated $11 million in off-court income to that jaw-dropping $16 million figure. That incredible $5 million jump came from her existing deals ramping up to their full value and a massive wave of new partnerships coming online. And here's the kicker that changes everything. Her Nike signature shoe hasn't even launched yet. When that finally drops in 2026, we are almost certainly looking at another significant multi-million-dollar increase in her total earnings. This trajectory isn't just maintaining momentum, it's actively and powerfully accelerating.
Announced the Clark as the latest signature athlete with a new signature logo, collection of sportswear and apparel, and a signature sneaker to debut in 2026. She joined fellow Nike athletes A'ja Wilson and Ionescu as active WNBA players with signature sneakers. Clark's other sponsors include Gatorade, State Farm, Wilson, Peony America, that's trading cards, Hy-Vee, Xfinity, Gamebridge, and Lilly.
Now let's compare this to the tennis players who are absolutely dominating the top of the list. Coco Gauff leads everyone with a staggering $31 million, with $8 million of that coming from on-court prize money and a massive $23 million from endorsements. Aryna Sabalenka, sitting at number 2, earned $30 million total, with a more even split of $15 million in prize money. These incredible athletes compete in a sport with a deeply established global infrastructure, enormous network television deals, and literal generations of wealth flowing through the entire system. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is building a comparable endorsement empire in a league that often struggles to fill arenas for games that don't feature her, in a league where the average salary is only around $130,000, and in a league that just negotiated a new media rights deal that some of its own players publicly criticized as being completely inadequate. She is single-handedly transcending the economic limitations of her own league through pure raw individual marketability. So what does this all really mean for the WNBA and for the narratives we've been fed about who truly matters most in women's basketball? Because one thing is for sure, the money does not lie. Corporate America votes with its dollars, and they have made their choice overwhelmingly, definitively clear. First, let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. For months now, certain media personalities and a whole universe of social media accounts have been relentlessly pushing the narrative that Angel Reese is just as important to the WNBA's growth as Caitlin Clark. They argue that the rivalry between them is what's really driving interest, that Reese's unique personality and her connection to specific demographics make her equally valuable from a business perspective. This earnings list doesn't just challenge that argument, it completely obliterates. It's not even a close contest. We are talking about a difference of at least $6 million a year, probably more. That's not a rivalry in terms of marketability, that is a clear and undeniable hierarchy. Of course, Reese has her own endorsement deals, and she's making good money beyond her WNBA salary. But she couldn't even crack the $10 million threshold in a year, when that was the absolute bottom of the top 15. Meanwhile, Clark is sitting comfortably at $16 million, and that's before her signature shoe even launches. That financial gap isn't narrowing, it's widening. Second, think about what this says about A'ja Wilson, the reigning MVP, the finals MVP, the player who actually won the championship, and who already has a signature Nike shoe on the market. She plays in Las Vegas, a major entertainment hub. She has been the undisputed face of WNBA excellence for years, and she didn't make this list either. Now, that is not a criticism of Wilson's game or her importance to the sport of basketball. She is legitimately one of the greatest players in the history of the league, but it reveals something absolutely crucial about the difference between being the best player and being the most marketable athlete. By most basketball metrics, Wilson is the better player right now, but by the metrics of corporate America, Clark is the more valuable commercial property by a margin that is almost hard to comprehend. Those are two very different things, and the market has spoken definitively about which one corporations value more. Third, consider the Sabrina Ionescu situation. She plays in New York City, the largest media market in the entire country. She's a star on a championship contending Liberty team. She's appeared in high-profile events, like the three-point contest against Steph Curry. She has major brand partnerships, and she still fell short of the top 15, coming in just under $10 million. Think about that. New York market, championship pedigree, viral marketing moments, and it still wasn't enough to match what Clark is doing out of Indianapolis. That tells you everything you need to know about the unique, almost magnetic nature of Clark's appeal. It's not just about market size or team success. There's something specific about her that resonates with mainstream American consumers in a way that completely transcends traditional sports marketing logic. So what happens next? Because this is just year one, and Clark is only 23 years old. She's gonna get even better as a player, which will only enhance her marketability. That signature Nike shoe in 2026 will likely come with significant guaranteed money and enormous royalty potential. We are potentially looking at Clark becoming the first WNBA player to earn $25 million, maybe even $30 million in a single year. That would put her right in the conversation with the top tennis players and golfers as one of the highest earning female athletes in the world, period. And all of this is happening while she plays in a league that pays her just $119,000. The gap between what the WNBA can afford to pay her and what she's actually worth to corporate America is so massive, it almost breaks the entire model of professional sports. This creates an interesting dynamic. She's economically independent from the WNBA's success or failure in a way no other player has ever been. She has leverage that other players simply don't. The league needs her far more than she needs the league. Finally, this leaves us with a crystal clear answer to a question some people have tried to make unnecessarily complicated. Who is the most valuable player in the WNBA from a pure business perspective? It is Caitlin Clark, and it is not particularly close. You can argue about who's the best player, but you cannot argue about who corporations believe can sell products. They voted with their checkbooks, and the results are definitive. $16 million for Clark, less than $10 million for literally everyone else. That's not media bias, that's not narrative manipulation, that's just math. And the math says that 1 year into her career, Caitlin Clark has already lapped the entire field. The question now isn't if she's the most valuable player. The question is how much bigger that gap is going to get. So let me know what you all think. Does this finally settle the debate, or do you believe there's something this list doesn't capture about other players' value? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep this conversation going.